We did create indicative budget, and we mentioned the fact of assigning the credits. What we're going to do now is going in the budget envelope of the action and define the credit header, which is going to become the commitment level 1, which will then be associated to the indicative budget. So let's reach for the budget envelope. Upon first arrival, we see that we are redirected automatically to the actual tab. What we want to do is to go in the master tab. Let's minimize this menu to have a clear screen. As you can see, within the master tab, we have a series of credit headers. Those contain budget positions, which are either inherited on the cascading envelopes starting from the Ndiki program and then inherited at the level of the action through the IPD and IPD components, as well as other budget positions that we can disregard for this example. What we need to do is to create yet another credit header by using the Add Credit Header button. And all of a sudden, we have to define a type. We're going to choose Commitment Level 1 Header. And then we continue by filling in the relevant fields. Now, the commitment type is going to be kept as Global Commitment GN with no financing agreement, simply because the action doesn't implement the financing agreement. FYI, you have the choice also of a GF type implementing a financing agreement, but let's stick with the previous one. The DG in charge is going to remain INPA, and the responsible services is going to set as Delegation Malawi. So let's select that. And we have to define a authorizing officer date. Now, this is quite important, yet is going to be relevant later on. Why? Because this is an indication. When the actual authorizing officer validation is going to happen, OPSIS is going to retrieve the actual date and is going to be, let's say, overwriting the one that we define in here. It's going to be an indication. So let's say that it's going to be at level of 2022 around September. Let's say the 15th of September. And then the description. This is also another important element because what we type in here has to have a clear structure. The elements introduced in this field are going to be transferred in a BAC. We always advise to define a clear structure starting with the Ndiki program, with the slash, the year of encoding of the action, another slash, the action number, and the title. We click on Next, and we have to fill in the step number 2 of this template. First of all, we need to associate the commitment level 1 we are creating to the existing credit headers containing the budget position. So let's define the first one. We will keep these two options as enabled, meaning authorized for funding contract, because we want to use this commitment level 1 later on so that our planned contracts can eject the money out of it. And we want to keep the mandatory link to programming enabled as well, because this is going to create a check between the budgetary structure we just created previously and the demands button at the level of the planned contract, which is going to implement the commitment level 1. The period of applicability is going to be set as the same duration as the MFF, so from 2022 to 2027. Then we click on Save. It's going to take a while before the system is going to generate an actual commitment level 1 reference. For commitment level 1s created directly inside OPSIS, the reference is going to take this nomenclature, JAD dot and the code. This is the commitment level 1 reference as defined by OPSIS. What we want to do for the moment is to click in this actual reference so that we enter the commitment level 1. Once we enter the commitment level 1, we see that we are greeted with the synopsis and the positions. We will see later on how to intervene in these two buttons. But what we want to do for now is to click on Launch Workflow. Why? Because as the commitment level 1 is created within the action, it's going to be receiving its own validation workflow, which means that we need to prepare it for the first step, which is the operational initiating agent.